names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Aqeedah of Ahl Sunnah, refutation of the opposers. What is that? What's the first principle? It is obligatory to leave the text of the book and Sunnah upon their apparent meaning without alteration. Don't change the apparent meaning. Just leave the apparent meaning. Don't change the Quran. They don't change the Arabic, they change the meaning. Anyways, say my Lord has only forbidden immorality. Rather, both his hands are extended. He spends however he wills. So it is apparent from this verse that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has two real hands, obviously. But it's not like humans' hands, there's different. The creation is not like the creator. His hands is not like the creation. We don't know how his hands look. But it's not like humans, not like animals, not like none of this. So all of the names of Allah are beautiful. All of them. And to Allah belong the most beautiful names. Surah Al-Araf. SubhanAllah. Do not revile time. For Allah said, I am the time. Ad-Dar. Ad-Dar. SubhanAllah. The days and nights belong to me. I renew them and I erode them. And I am the one who brings kings after kings. A benefit from Ibn Qayyim Zahd al-Ma'ad. The one who abuses time is between two affairs, and there is no doubt that he falls into one of them. Either his abuse is directed towards Allah, when he curses time, either his abuse is directed towards Allah, but he don't want to say it, so he's just saying to time, lanat, mere waqt pe lanat, this, that, instead of saying Allah, but or he has associated partners with him, shirk. So if he believes that Allah alone is the one who did that thing, and thus a person abuses the one who did that, then by default he has abused Allah. My hand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in my hand are the affairs and I change the night and day. So the meaning that hadith, Allah is the owner of time and he controls it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in another hadith, he is time. He controls it. And the proof for that is saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in my hand are the affairs and I change the night and day. Number two, the second principle, the names and attributes of Allah are not limited to a specific number. Me and you did 99 because that's the hadith. Whoever memorizes these 99 will go to Jannah. But it's not limited to a specific number. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names is not limited to a specific number. From Quran wa Sunnah, it was like over 129, 130. From Quran wa Sunnah, Allah's names and attributes. So we don't know how many there are, but that's what we have approximately. But there's no limited number. So in your book, or you have thought as one of the creation, or you have held back in the knowledge of unseen, that is with you, of course. We call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the names He have named Himself with. 99 names. And indeed, Allah has 99 names. Whoever learns these, memorizes, and acts in accordance to them will enter Jannah. So this means, then the meaning of the hadith is that from the names of Allah, there are 99 names. And whoever memorizes those specific 99 names, and understands them and acts in accordance to them will enter Jannah. SubhanAllah. And the intent is not that Allah has only 99 names, limited to that number. This is like saying I have 100 dirhams to give in charity. So this does not negate the fact that you have dirhams, other coins other than these 100 for the purpose of other than charity. Then the third principle, the names of Allah are not established by the intellect. Rather, they are established by revelation, meaning Quran, Sunnah. So the names of Allah are known only by the way of a real text. Tawqifiyah, and one hall said that, which is reported by the legislation, the Sharia, not increasing upon that and not decreasing. Not increasing, not decreasing. That is because the intellect cannot possibly reach, comprehend, or encompass what Allah is deserving of in terms of names. So it is obligatory to withhold from that and cling to the legislation, because to name Him with a name that He has not named Himself with, or that reject a name that He has named Himself with, this is transgression against His right, the Most High. So it is obligatory to maintain correct conduct in this matter. The Most High said, do not pursue of that which you have no knowledge. Allah is not the Khuda. Khuda was a Persian. Go search up Ahura Mazda. Ahura Mazda, Khuda is not Allah. This is not Allah. Don't call Allah by names that's not His name. This was a Khuda. It was a man, Persian man. He said he's Allah. You know. Well, he was anyways there. Ahura Mazda. He was called Huda. Huda. इसको अपना रब मानते थे, इसको खुदा खुदा कहते थे. So Huda, Ahura Mazda, Persian. Yellow. Where is it? This was Huda. This is Huda. I'm not joking. They used to call him God, Huda, Huda, Huda. This was their Huda, Huda. This is not Allah, Huda, Huda, Bhagwan, Bhagwan. Allah is not Bhagwan, Bhagwan. Allah is not Huda, Huda. Allah is not Shiv, Shiv, Ram, Ram. Anyways, let's go back to Allah's names and attributes. Sorry, I mean, let's learn the principles of the names and attributes. The names of Allah is not established by the intellect. It has to be revealed. So there must be proof to call Allah by those names. Santa Claus, Zeus, Thor, no. Kalimat, no. Ram, no. Shiv, no. Khuda, no. Use Allah's names and attributes, learn them, and call Him by those names. Do not pursue that which you know. Every name from the names of Allah is a proof for the self of Allah Himself is that, and a proof of the attribute it encompasses. Subhanallah, Subhanallah, La hawla wa la quwwata. And proof of the effect that results from that if the name is transitive, and effect from upon the creation. Al-Alim Al-Alim, Al-Alim Al-Alim. Oh Allah, you are Al-Alim Al-Alim, Al-Azim. Give us all beneficial knowledge. Ameen. So true Iman in the name of Allah is not complete. Iman, sorry, that's a typo. Please correct that. Is not complete unless one affirms all of this. An example of a name that is not transitive, Al-Azim, the exalted, the glorious, the great. The one's belief, Iman, in this name is not complete until one affirms the name itself. That it is indeed a name from the names of Allah. Obviously, you have to, and that is a proof of the essence, self, that, His that, the Most High, and that it demonstrates the attribute of Al-Uzma, Subhanallah, glory and greatness. Al-Uzma, Al-Uzma. And an example of a name that is transitive, Mutadi Ar-Rahman, the merciful. The one's belief is not complete until he believes and affirms the name itself, that it is a name from the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that it is a proof and indication of the essence, self of Allah Zat, and that it demonstrates the attribute of mercy, Rahmah, and the effect that results from it, which is that He showers His mercy upon whoever He wills, subhanAllah. And the third principle concerning the names and attributes of Allah. All of the attributes of Allah are lofty. You know, we don't say like, one is this, that, or they are the utmost perfection and praiseworthiness. There is not in them any deficiency in any way. Nope. From any aspect whatsoever, such as His living, knowledge, ability, hearing, seeing, wisdom, mercy, highness, meaning He's high above the creation. And other than that, this is due to His saying, and to Allah belongs the highest description. Subhanallah. An-Nahl, the bee. 60. An-Nahl, 60. An-Nahl, 60. 8. Astaghfirullah. Is it 8? Maybe. An-Nahl, 60. Probably not. If an attribute is deficient, not having a perfection, then it is not attributed to Him, such as death, ignorance, inability, deafness, blindness. These are humans. This is for creation, not the Al-Khaliq, the perfect. Perfect. Al-Quddus, perfect. And He freed Himself from that which was ascribed to Him of deficiencies due to that it is not possible that the Lord is deficient. No way. That's why the Lord is not born, nor He dies, nor He eats, nor is He sleeping, nor is used in the bathroom. Every prophet did that. But anyways, don't call upon any creation. If there is an attribute that is perfect from one aspect and deficient from another, then such an attribute is not affirmed for Allah, absolutely, and not negated from Him, absolutely. Rather, the affair requires a detailed explanation. Such an attribute is affirmed for Allah from the aspect of perfection and negated from Him from the aspect of deficiency. Examples such as scheming, al-makr, plotting, al-kaid, deception, al-khida, and so on. Then these attributes are considered as attributes of perfection. Yes, if they are in response to what is like them, because that proves that the doer is not incapable of responding to his enemy in similar way. Subhanallah, subhanallah. He uses deception, then he responds with the deception, which is better than his, showing that he is not incapable. Subhanallah. Yet possessing these attributes in other than these specific situations would be considered as a deficiency. So these attributes are affirmed for Allah in the sense of perfection, and responding to evil and negated from Allah in situations besides this. Subhanallah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. La hawla wa la quwwata. Allah the Most High said, Ali, they were plotting and Allah too was plotting. Subhanallah. And Allah is the best of plotters. Al-Anfal. This is the kuffar tried to use against us. Allah was plotting. He's the best of plotters. Yes, because they were plotting. Allah does not plot against us and commoners, and they were plotting evil. So Allah plotted too, and He's the best of plotters. Subhanallah. Verily they are scheming a plot, and I too am scheming a plot. At-Tariq. My name comes in this surah. Verily the hypocrites seek to deceive Allah, but it is He who deceives them. Subhanallah. And there are other examples like this. So if it is said, is Allah described with plotting? Do not say yes and do not say no. Rather say, He, the Most High, plots against those who are deserving of that. Makes me so happy. And Allah knows best. Don't say no, don't say yes. If they say, does Allah plot? Don't say no. Don't say yes. Say, He, the Most High, plots against those who are deserving of that. And Allah knows best. Or you can say, against those that are plotting. The attribute of Allah are divided into two categories. Those which affirm subutiya, and those which negates salbiya. At-tubutiya, 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 the affirming attributes. At-tubutiya are those attributes which Allah has affirmed for Himself, such as life, al-hayat, knowledge, al-ilm, ability, al-qudra. Wow. It's like my first time. Subhanallah. And so on. It is necessary to affirm these for Allah in a manner that befits His majesty, since it is He who has affirmed them for Himself. No one else affirmed these for Allah. He is describing Himself in Quran wa Sunnah, and He is most knowledgeable in concerning His attributes. Bishak, Bismillah. As-salbiya, the negating attributes. These are the attributes which Allah has negated from Himself, such as injustice, zulm. Allah does not do zulm, not even upon whatever. So one must negate these attributes from Him, because He, the Most High, has done so. However, it is necessary to affirm belief, ittiqad, in the opposite of these negated attributes. Obeshak, zulm, that was the opposite. He's most merciful, He's the most kind. This is because negation of a weak and deficient attribute is not considered as perfection until it includes an affirmation of its opposite. For example, the saying of Allah the Most High, and your Lord oppresses no one. So it's obligatory to negate from Him Allah oppression, because Allah said this. He said He oppresses no one. So you must affirm, this. That zulm, alongside believing in the affirmation of the utmost perfect justice. There are some Muslims who believe Allah is oppressing them. See, this is the issue. This is very wrong. Some people say, Ya Allah, you always do this to me. Oh my God, why me, Allah? Why? This is zulm. You saying Allah does zulm to you? He's not even doing zulm to kuffar. So Allah is most just. Al-Adl. Al-Adl. So it is obligatory to negate from Allah oppression, because He does not oppress nobody. I mean nobody, not even an atheist. Alongside believing in the affirmation of the utmost perfect justice, Al-Adl, for Him. Even atheists will get knowledge, but it's up to them to accept. The affirming attributes at-tubutiya are further divided into two categories. Zatiya, attributes that never cease, and fi'liya, attributes connected to His will. Fi'liya. Ad-datiya, it is an attribute that Allah never ceases to be described with, such as hearing and seeing. As-sama, al-basr, Al-Basir, As-Sami. Al Al-Fi'liya, it is that attribute that is connected to the will of Allah. If He wishes, He does it. And if He wishes, He does not do it. Such as His ascending, istiwa, over His throne. The most merciful ascended over the throne. At Tahajjud time, He comes to the lowest heaven. Then He goes back. And His coming, Al-Maji, on the day of resurrection. Oh, Subhanallah. And so many angels will be surrounded in rows. And your Lord comes with the angels in rows. Oh, Subhanallah. It is possible that an attribute is both, oh, Subhanallah, Zatiya and Filiya in both respects, such as His speech, Al-Kalam. So from the aspect of the origin of the attribute, it is Zatiya because Allah never ceases to speak. It's not like He stops speaking, like what? And from the aspect of the actual words that are spoken, then it is an attribute that is filiya because His speech is connected to His will. Al-Masiya, Al-Mashiya, Al-Mashiya. I wish the Arabic was here, but okay. Al-Mashiya, as He speaks with what He wills whenever He wills. Subhanallah. Every attribute of Allah raises three questions. Is it real, haqiqiyya, and why? What's the proof? Quran, okay. Say hadith, okay. What else? Quran, say hadith, If it's not, then where are you getting it from? Is it permissible to ask how the attribute is and why? No. You can't ask how. How is Allah going above His arsh? This is bid'ah. All four Imams said asking how, kaif, is bid'ah. Is there likeness between His attribute and those of the creation and why? Say Allah has hand, the creation has hand. Is it the same? No. Allah has a face, the creation has a face. Is it the same? No. You'll see. The answer of the first question, yes, each attribute is real because the origin that regards speech as real, taken apparent meaning in one does not deviate from its real meaning except with an authentic proof that would prevent us from taking it upon its real meaning. It has to be a proof. Answer to the second question. It is not allowed to ask how. Perform takif. Due to the saying of Allah, and they will not encompass Him in knowledge. But whatever He's describing Himself with, you just take it as that. Taha 110. And also because the intellect cannot comprehend how. You cannot comprehend how. With respect to the attribute of Allah, so we do not say, for example, how did Allah ascend? Or how does He descend at the Tahajjud time? Or how will He come come forth on the day of resurrection? We do not ask how. The answer to the third question, there is no likeness or resemblance between the attribute of the Creator and the creation due to the saying of Allah, there is nothing like unto Him. Ashura 11. And because Allah is rightfully deserving of perfection, there is nothing above Him or that can reach His utmost perfection. So therefore, one cannot compare to the creation to Him because the creation is deficient. The difference between likeness, tamthil, the attribute, and asking how, takif. The attribute is as follows. Making a likeness or resemblance is to describe how an attribute is by restricting it to a particular example that the one making the resemblance has in mind. Let's say you're imagining whatever. And to enter the how, takif, is to speak of how an attribute is without restricting it to a particular example. You're saying it could be unlimited imagination. Example of tamtheed, that a person says the hand of Allah is like the hand of a human. You're likening it. Astaghfirullah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Example of a takif, that a person imagines how the hand of Allah is without specifically resembling it to the hands of the created beings. Even this is not permissible. This type of imagining is not permitted either. Both of these are wrong. One, you're imagining Allah's hand like the hand of the creation. One, you're imagining Allah's hand like a whatever. Some imagining as a go spirit hand and this, that hand. And no, both of them are wrong. You're imagining it, Allah's hand, that's wrong. You cannot imagine how it is. Whether as a human, okay, Allah's hand is like a human, na'udhu, you can't do that. And you can't say His hand is like a power, globe, orb, light, nothing. We don't know. We'll see on Yawmul Qiyamah, we'll see in Jannah. We don't know. The fourth principle which is used to refute the deniers and the negators of the attribute of Allah, Al-Mu'attila. Al-Mu'attila are those who deny anything from the names of Allah and His attribute, and they distort falsely, explain away the real text from their clear and apparent meanings and wordings. They are also referred to as the Mu'awwila, those who falsely explain the text. May Allah save us and our whole ummah and all Muslims from these people. I mean, so we refute them and rebuke them with the general principle that we say regarding their speech. It opposes the apparent meanings and words and wordings of the text of the Quran and Sunnah. So they discard the actual meaning and replace them with concocting meanings. Allah's descending to the nearest heavens, His mercy descends, and Allah's two hands are His bounties are two powers. This is what they say. Instead of His two hands, they're two bounties, they're two powers. This is what they do. They distort the actual meaning and give their imaginary meanings, falsehood meanings. It opposes the path of the early Salaf, Sahaba, Taba'in, who would understand the text upon their apparent meanings. Yeah, apparent. Don't go imagining upon your own shaitanic imaginations. There no authentic proof that allows for these distortions. Don't distort. You don't have proof for distorting and false figurative interpretations or metaphors. This is very dangerous, which people are not seeing, and they're getting blinded by, people's beautiful speeches. But when they're actually distorting Allah's names and attributes, they're distorting His meanings, and they're explaining away. People are doing tamthil, tartil, tahrif. So, anyways, mind map Allah's names and attributes. An ideal. Oh, subhanallah. I don't think you guys will understand this. This is high level. High level. Let's do it. Join me. Okay, so let's get it. Okay, watch this. So this is Allah's names and attributes, yeah? Watch this. What's the first principle? Okay, Bismillah. Let's get it. The first principle, all of the names of Allah are beautiful. The names of Allah are not confined to a specific number. Number 3, the names of Allah are not derived by intellect. Rather, they are derived by proof. Number 4, each name of Allah encompasses 3 matters. Subhanallah, 3 matters. I should write this down, but I should have wrote this down. It's okay. I'll try to memorize it. Ya Rab, help me. Allah alim al-alim. You Allah alim al-alim. Help me memorize it. I mean, that each name has a real meaning and refers to the attribute that it implies, obviously. Okay, that attribute has an effect upon the creation. Allah alim al-alim. Allamul ghuyub. La hawla wa la quwwata. That's 4. Okay, that was 4. That's it? Okay, these were the 4. I mean, is it? Okay, so these were the 4. There's so much more. Okay, anyways, 1 second. All right, let's get it. We're gonna go perfect. Definition: to have faith, iman, in that which Allah affirmed for Himself, or the Messenger affirmed for Allah, and names and attributes, like if the Prophet ﷺ described. First principle. Okay, sorry, we skipped to the second principle. It has 4 branches, and this was the second principle. So first principle was actually related to both names and attributes. It belongs to both of these. Okay, definition. And it to affirm the names and attributes of Allah as they are textually reported in the book upon their apparent Arabic meaning without distortion or change. Please don't change. Fear Allah. We will expose whoever does this, and we are the mujahids that expose people of falsehood. That is because to ascribe another meaning to a word other than that which is apparent is to speak about Allah without knowledge, and that is forbidden. And this is my favorite category, Tawheed al-Asma wa Sifat. And we know who deviated in this category. Just like there's people doing shirk in ibadat, such as sujood, such as, asking the dead for help and this, that. There are people doing shirk in Asma wa Sifat, bid'ah in Asma wa Sifat. So if an attribute that is perfect from an aspect and deficient from another aspect, then it is now affirmed for Allah. You know. Then the attribute of Allah are divided into two categories: affirmed attribute and negated attribute. Affirmed attribute subutiya, salbiya. Then the affirmed attributes subutiya are divided into two categories: dhatiya and fi'liya. Subhanallah. Difference between takif. And now we're gonna get to these later, inshallah. Let's do this first. Okay, baad mein aate hain. First let's learn this. Okay, are we almost done? Let's get okay. Subutiya are those attributes which Allah has affirmed for Himself, such as life, knowledge, and ability. Knowledge, ability, and life. Negated attributes, those attributes of deficiency, like zulm too, Allah negated those. And then the affirmed attributes, subutiya, are divided into two: filiya and zatiya. Okay. Filia, the attribute He never ceases to be described with. Al-filia, these attributes are connected to the will. You know. Okay. Now we come here at 4. Then we begin the fun part, inshallah ta'ala. Every attribute of Allah that brings forth 3 questions. Is this attribute real, hakikiya? Like, where are you getting it from? You know, is there proof for it? You know, Quran or Sunnah is there? Is that it is taken upon that what is apparent meaning, and it is not permitted to distort or to change its meaning without clear. Stop. What's wrong with you? Learn Allah's names and attributes. You know, agree like a Muslim. Say Assalamu alaikum. What is this? You know, it is meaning. You do not distort Allah's names and attributes and their meaning, or change its meaning without clear proof. Is it allowed to inquire how an attribute is? Takif. Answer: it is not allowed to inquire without regard to how an attribute is. Is it forbidden to ask how did Allah ascend over His throne? Yes. Or how does He descend to the nearest heaven? You know, at the Hajj time, Allah descends to the nearest heaven. This is due to the fact that Allah has not informed us of this information. My brother, if you're not Muslim, you can just walk by, you know. If you're Muslim, you can learn Allah's names and attribute and the principles regarding them. No one's holding you. You know, there's no compulsion in religion. You can walk by, my brother. You know, informed us of this information, and the human intellect could never perceive such matters independently. So that's why you have to have a proof for those. Is there likeness between the attribute of Allah and those of His creation? Tamthil. No. And never Allah has stated, there is nothing like unto Him. This is because Allah is worthy of the utmost perfection, and there is nothing unto Him perfection. So this creation cannot be like Him, because the creation is deficiency. The difference between takif, to inquire how, and tamthil. You know, we did this. Okay, now we will do the fun part. Ahsin Asin al-Ankar. Whoa, whatever, what a strange name. The Asharis. They are followers of Abdullah ibn Qulab, died in 240 Hijri, though they claim to be followers of Abu al-Hassan Ashari, Rahimullah Ta'ala, our Imam as well, even though he repented and left the deviation of negation. You know, of negating an attribute or negating names and attributes of Allah, and false interpretation. They affirm in their own way only 7 attributes. Only 7 attributes: hearing, seeing, speech, life, ability, will, and knowledge. These are the only attributes they believe in. You know, the Asharis only believe in 7 attributes, perhaps 9. So now we go to Maturudis. They are the followers of Abu Mansur al-Maturidi. They are by and large Hanafi in fiqh, though clearly not followers of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala in fiqh, though clearly not followers of him in Aqidah. They perform ta'wil, distort the meanings of the attributes of Allah. They are very similar to the Asharis, and like them, falsely regard themselves to be Ahl Sunnah. Astaghfirullah. When you learn about these two, you guys will be woke. Inshallah. I guarantee it. Because you will know who's doing what with Allah's names and attributes. Bada maza aega. We not inciting violence. Learn, my brothers and sisters, so you could understand, you know. so you could understand and leave. If you were so belong to, those groups of people, and you belong to a sect, leave every sect, my brothers. If you belong to, Deobandi, Brelvi, that do these stuff, leave it, because we know they do this. Because I am from Pakistan. I am from a village where they have graves and they worship it. But alhamdulillah, they stopped now. The Jahmis, they are the root of all of the sects of the Mu'atilla. They deny all the names and attributes. Every sect that negated, denied, or distorted the names and attributes took their lead and their principles from this Jahmiya. Jahm ibn Safwan, this one. Their founder was Jahm bin Safwan, who was executed in 128 Hijri for his rejection of the name and attribute. Whoever did this, may Allah give him Jannatul Firdaus. I mean, because obviously he was the ruler, not someone rogue. And he was executed, obviously, by his government, which ultimately led to the denial of the Lord himself and atheism. Astaghfirullah. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So they hanged him, executed him. The Mutazillah, their founder was Wasil bin Ata, and they came about at the beginning of the 2nd century. Their defining trait was to give precedence to the intellect of the human mind, over and above the Quran and Sunnah. They quickly became well known for many deviations, and from them was a negation of the attributes of Allah in totally. And through they affirmed the names, they believed the names carried no meanings. Like they believe Allah's names and attributes, but they believe that it has no meaning. They believe Allah is Al-Alim, Al-Alim, but they believe it has no meaning. I believe it has full meaning. I use it when I need knowledge. Ya Rab, you are Al-Alim, Al-Alim. Give me knowledge, beneficial knowledge, I mean. The Mu'atilla, the negators, they are numerous sects. The numerous sects. Now we're going to learn about Al-Mu'atilla, those who liken Allah with his creation. The Mu'atilla are often referred to as Al-Musabiyah, those who make resemblance between Allah and the creation. Often referred to those who make resemblance between Allah and the creation. Oh, subhanallah. They are innocent of their sects, And what do you call it? And the Ahl Sunnah regard this to be kufr. Instead of subhanallah. Note, follow from Umahan, the early. So I think we did almost all of these. We should know these principles, my brothers, before jumping to Allah's names and attributes. Now you may do Allah's names and attributes. Why? Because you won't make it upon your own understanding, inshallah ta'ala. This is, before we start a book, you have to understand the principles. You don't just go read the book and upon your own understanding, This is how we're supposed to understand Allah's names and attributes. I hope it made sense. Now you may do Allah's names and attributes, Otherwise, you cannot do that upon your own understanding. Make your own, make your own meaning of Allah's names and attributes. So, let's do this. Bismillah. Alhamdulillah. نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره. Daud Berman Hifzullah. Rahimullah. Sorry. ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. English. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. Ustad went to Saudi Arabia about a few decades ago. Him and his bus flipped and it burned. May Allah accept his shahada. Ameen. Then we just completed chapter 50. Allah is, concerning this name, is number one name, Allah. وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا وَذَرُوا الَّذِينَ يُلْحِدُونَ فِي أَسْمَائِهِ. Al-Ayah. Saying of Allah the Most High in Surah Al-A'raf, the 7th Surah, Ayah 180, with the explanation, to Allah belongs the most perfect and beautiful names. So worship Him in accordance with them and call upon Him by them. Beshak. And abandon those who deviate with regard to His names. Beshak. And we had in the chapter the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. I could not praise you enough as you deserve. You are as you praise yourself.
that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah has 99 names, 100 except for one. Whoever correctly preserves them and acts in accordance with them will enter paradise. The hadith. And we heard that the addition that actually gives the list of names after it, reported by Tirmidhi, and one narration reported by Ibn Majah, and others reported by Ibn Khuzaymah, and Ibn Hibban, and others, the actual list of the names as given along with the hadith is not authentic from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but rather it was from the ijtihad of some of the scholars. They strove to look through the Book of Allah and what they could find in the Sunnah. So the scholars from the early times, right until this day here, have striven to look through the Book of Allah and the authentic Sunnah and to extract these 99 names. So each scholar who has done that has come with a slightly different list of names, and no one scholar will be able to say this is definitely the list. Which is why scholars have continued to strive in that regard right until this time. And as we mentioned, one of the scholars in these times was Sheikh Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen, rahimahullah. Assalamu rahmatullah. In his book Al-Qawaid al-Muthla. So he produced a list, and the scholars doing so hoping to fall into this hadith. That one of the parts of ihsa, correctly preserving these names, is to look for these names and to compile them. So amongst these scholars, as we said, was Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, and he compiled a list of 99 names. Not to say that Allah's names, as we've had many times, are restricted to these 99, but hoping and striving to establish the 99 names which are given that promise, that whoever preserves them correctly and acts upon them will enter paradise. So I'll just read, initially I'll read the list that Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen brings. And I was hoping to write some of on the board, but anyway, Allah musta'an. I'll read the list and then try and bring a brief explanation, as we said, for at least the first 50 today, and then the rest next week, inshallah. So the Shaykh, initially, he brings a list of 81 names extracted from the Book of Allah, from the Quran. 81 from Quran. And then he brings 11 names, the last 11, numbers 82 to 99,
11 from Hadith.
Extracted from the authentic Sunnah.
Quran, 81 names. Shaykh Uthaymeen got 81 names from Quran.
From the Book of Allah,
and 11 from
the first name, Allah.
Allah.
The second, Al-Ahad. The third, Al-A'la.
Al-A'la.
The fourth,
Al-Akram.
The fifth,
Al-Ilah.
The sixth,
Al-Awwal. Al-Akhir. Al-Zahid. Al-Batin.
Al-Akhir. The eighth, Al-Zahir. The ninth, Al-Batin. The 10th, Al-Bari.
Al-Bar.
The 11th, Al-Bar.
Al-Basir.
The 12th, Al-Basir.
التواب.
The 13th,
الجبار. الحافظ. الحسين والحفيظ.
Al-Jabbar. The 15th, Al-Hafiz. The 16th, Al-Hasib.
الحسيب الحفيظ.
The 17th, Al-Hafiz. The 18th, Al-Hafiz.
Al-Hafi, the benevolent, the one who is ever kind to servants and ever responding.
The 20th, Al-Mubin. The 21st, Al-Hakim. Al-Hakim. The 22nd, Al-Halim. The 23rd, Al-Hamid. The 24th, Al-Hayy. The 25th, Al-Qayyum. The 26th, Al-Khabir. The 27th, Al-Khaliq. The 28th, Al-Khallaq. The 29th, Al-Ra'uf. The 30th, Al-Rahman. The 31st, Al-Rahim. The 32nd, Al-Razzaq.
Razaq, may he give us risk in our family and friends, Ameen.
As-Salam.
May Salam give us peace
35th As-Sami'.
and take away our deficiencies.
The
Ameen.
36th
Let Sami hear our
Ash-Shakir.
dua. Ameen. May Shakir appreciate and reward us all. Ameen.
37th Ash-Shakur.
May Shakur appreciate and reward us all.
38th
Ameen. May
Ash-Shahid.
Allah Al-Alim, Allah
The
Al-Alim give
39th
us all
As-Samad.
beneficial knowledge. Ameen.
The 40th Al-Alim. The 41st Al-Aziz. The 42nd Al-Azim. The 43rd Al-Afu.
May Allah pardon us again and again. Ameen. May He pardon us.
The 45th
May Al-Alim
Al-Ali.
make us give us
46th
knowledge, beneficial knowledge.
Al-Ghaffar.
Ameen.
The 47th
Al-Ali,
Al-Ghafur.
Al-Ghaffar,
The
Al-Ghafoor.
48th Al-Ghani.
May Allah Al-Ghaffar, Al-Ghafoor forgive us all and our
Al-Fattah,
family and friends. Ameen.
Al-Fattah.
May Al-Ghani make us
The
self-sufficient.
50th
Ameen.
Al-Qadir.
May Allah Al-Fatah open the doors of
51st
goodness for us,
Al-Tahir.
provisions and goodness for us all and our
52nd
family and friends. Ameen.
Al-Quddus.
Al-Quddus.
53rd Al-Qadir.
We'll stop at 50. Inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.